Hi. To get straight into it, Cold Comfort is a one-of-a-kind rocket because it can do this. Now, technically it's not the only rocket that can shoot 4 in a row, but it is the only rocket that can shoot 4 rockets in a row without losing almost half of its damage. And the rocket I'm talking about that does do that is Apex Predator. But comparing the two, Cold Comfort takes a lot more setup. Granted, it really isn't too difficult to do if you know what you're doing. So in this video, we're going to be going over that. First, what's the god roll, why it's the god roll, and then how to properly use the best rocket in the game, because it's important to know what you're doing while you have this equipped. So first up, the god roll. It's Envious Assassin and then Explosive Light, or bait and switch. I prefer Explosive Light because it allows you to just focus on the rocket, whereas bait and switch, you need to use all 3 of your weapons. And Explosive Light, you get the damage on all of your rockets, where bait and switch, you'll miss 1 rocket's worth of damage increase. In the right column, there are also 2 other notable perks, being Chill Clip and Bipod, but I think comparatively, those 2 just don't really win out. So that's the god roll. Both how good this rocket is, I'm sure you guys already knew that. But in this video, I kind of just wanted to put PSA guide or whatever on everybody that is using it, how to use it properly, and just kind of some tips. So to get started, let's first talk about the origin trait, which is integral to how this rocket can shoot 4 in a row. The origin trait is Restoration Ritual, and what it does is that when you finish an enemy or revive an ally, it'll prepare an emergency reload, which is essentially when you have 0 bullets, it puts a bullet into your magazine. Kind of like auto-loading holster, but while it's in your hands. But that's only 1 extra rocket. Where the other 3 rockets come from is the perk Envious Assassin. And that perk works off of getting weapon multi-kills. Not abilities, which is kind of unfortunate. As you can see, if you use an ability, you pull the rocket out, you still only have 1 rocket. But if you get a kill with a weapon, and you pull the rocket out, you have 2 rockets. And where Envious Assassin gets special is that for this rocket, if you get 8 kills, it'll actually load 3 rockets into the magazine. And that is the penultimate goal that we're going for, is getting 3 rockets into 1 mag. And the way the perk works behind the scenes is that as soon as you get your first weapon kill, you have 10 seconds to get another one. And once you get that second kill, the timer refreshes. So as long as you're getting 1 weapon kill every 10 seconds, up to 8, this perk will load 3 in the mag. However, something to be very conscious of is if you pull out your heavy weapon and you load the second rocket in before you get all 8 kills, once Envious Assassin is procced once, you can't reproc it. You can't overload it. So you don't want to pull your rocket out until you've got the 8 kills. Now, honestly, I don't know about you guys, but my builds are mostly ability spam, because that's what I enjoy most while playing. And so I actually have to be very conscious and perceptive of my kill count. I usually try to count in my head, but there are some weapons you can use that make it a little easier, so you can kind of just get some multi-kills and then go back to ability spam or whatever you're doing. Now, these weapons you might already have in your loadout, but they do require, a little changing of your playstyle, because at the end of the day, we're doing all this to get the best DPS rocket in the game ready to live up to its namesake. So as for the first weapon I'd recommend, most of these are no-brainers, is Forbearance. Most of you probably know this gun. It's a waveframe GL that can roll chain reaction, and it's nuts for ad clear. You shoot it once, everything kind of just dies. You shoot it a couple times, you'll get the 8 kills. The next thing I want to recommend is Wolrd, because this will help with DPS, as well as you can just launch it at a door, and enemies are going to run into it, and it lingers. So you can drop it on the ground, and you'll get kills over time, either from the group you shot it at, or from new enemies running into the pool. And if you just shoot a couple of those, it's really going to ramp up to the 8 kills really quickly, especially if you know spawn doors and spawn locations you can really just farm them and get those 8 kills. And then the next gun that I wanted to mention by name was the new loaded question, or really just a fusion rifle that rolls with reservoir burst. Because that's essentially chain reaction, but for fusion rifles, and it's just an ad clear monster. I got one this week during Fallen Saber with Overflow or Demolitionist and Reservoir Burst, which is kind of just an absolutely wild combination. So definitely this is another gun, maybe if you don't have Forbearance, that I would absolutely recommend because it makes getting those 8 super easy. And then to finish the gun recommendation section, really just use whatever has ad clear capabilities. If you're watching this, you probably have your favorite guns, and I recommend just using that. You can even use some really bad primary kinetic weapon that doesn't have any ad clear at all, as long as you're getting 1 kill every 10 seconds and you're conscious of that. So, I have my recommendations, but really, it's up to you, because at the end of it all, just use what you want. The next thing I wanted to talk about regarding the setup for the Cold Comfort sauce is don't forget the finisher, because while I've been playing with it, I unfortunately often do, because my builds don't really rely on finishers at all. Am I really going to take the time to finisher a red bar if I'm not thinking about it? No, I'm not. So while you have this gun, make sure to get the finisher. Remind yourself, you get your 8 kills. You also still need to do the finisher, or with how Restoration Ritual works, you can also get a revive, which in things like Grandmaster Nightfalls, if you got goofy teammates like me, it's going to happen fairly often too. Now, I've spoken about pretty much everything you need to know for the setup, but this loadout does kind of constitute a different playstyle than I think most people are used to, because you do have this meter in the back of your head that you need to keep track of. So I recommend, like I said earlier with the ad clear weapons, is knowing where enemies are going to spawn, knowing how many are going to spawn, and being prepared for that. Because if you can plan out in your head where you're going to get your 8 kills before a boss, it makes it a lot easier. Also, the rockets and Restoration Ritual don't go away unless you die. So you can do this at the beginning of an activity and then just not pull out your rocket until the boss shows up. You can have your setup done for half an hour and you're good. But like I just said, if you die, you got to restart it all. You got to get the finisher again, and you got to get the 8 kills again. So definitely be mindful of that. And I won't lie, if you're going up to a boss fight and you die, maybe the boss kills you or something else happens, it sucks. Because all that setup you did is for nothing, and then you don't even have time to do it. So be careful. And it's kind of weird, but when you have this, you need to play smarter, because you don't want to lose all the work you've just done. Now, I want to say the best place for this weapon and this loadout, well, boss damage. This gun is touted as the best DPS rocket in the game. And it's really good for boss damage, but it's also really good for Grandmaster Nightfalls, because having this super bursty 4 rockets, 3 rockets in a row, you can destroy a champion. Stun, destroy. Really good. As well as in GMs, my teammates die and I revive them. And that's, don't even have to do the finisher. Granted, I feel like champions usually get finished anyways, so you'll have that extra rocket loaded that way. This rocket would also be really good in solo lost sectors, pretty much anything with champions, because champions are all about, they get stunned, burst them down. And this rocket is, without a doubt, the king of burst. And everything I've said is assuming you've got the 4 rockets in a row. But you know what else is pretty good on this rocket? 3 rockets in a row, which is so much easier than having to get the 8 kills. Because I'll show the clip again, you need to get 1 kill. Pull out the rocket, you have 2. Get a finisher or a revive, you have 3 rockets in a row. So much easier. You can do that pretty much anywhere, and you can focus on ability spam. So again, I'll be completely honest, I probably have the 3 rockets loaded way more often than the 4 rockets loaded, because the difference isn't that much, and it's way easier. And if I die, oh well, I can just get 1 kill, pull out the rocket, and I'm good. Granted, if I'm being smart and I'm prepared for a group of ads to show up, I will not proc the 2 rocket because I know I can get the 4. Also, this is kind of late to say it, but you get the rocket from the new dungeon, Goes to the Deep, from encounter 2 and 3. But again, you've probably seen this rocket before, you know how to get it. And with all that being said, have fun with the rocket. I hope this helps. I feel like most people probably already know that, you know, use an ad clear weapon for this gun, whatever. But also I really wanted to emphasize getting 3 rockets in a row is just as good. I hope you enjoyed what I've said today. And if you want to support me and support this channel, and you can't think of a comment down below. Cold comfort. And again, if you've watched this far, I really appreciate you. I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you around.